Tonight, top executives meet in Churchill Falls 3 months after the historic MOU was signed. That story and
it's an ideal location for us in terms of capacity and in terms of location.
It's going to be used again as a house of worship for God.
One St. John's Church has found a new purpose and the Muslim community a new place to come together.
Power bills have just skyrocketed, just ridiculously so.
Power bills in this province have been on the rise for many, and people are not happy about it.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. As the Public Utilities Board calls on Newfoundland Power to review the accuracy of electricity bills, customers continue to complain. The PUB says it's received a significant number of inquiries. Newfoundland Power customers have taken to social media to voice their anger over ballooning bills. Trisha Muldoon in Harbour Grace is among those people who feel they're being overcharged. She says she's taken steps to dramatically reduce her usage, but her bill continues to rise. She says she now owes the utility around $1,800.
A month ago, when I got our bill, and it was almost $1,000, it was almost $900, about $900. I thought, oh my gosh, okay, this is crazy. I'm going to turn down the temperature. And so the house right now is 16 degrees. We keep it at 16 degrees. It is sweater weather in here all the time. And we have lights on timers. We use the dishwasher once. We do laundry in the weekends. I mean, it's very minimal usage. The next bill, it said I'd gone up just over 2,000 watts in usage. And I thought that's not possible. That is not possible. It was frustrating, because I couldn't understand what else we could possibly do. There's nothing else we could do to reduce this cost.
We'll hear more from Trisha Muldoon later in the program. And in the meantime, we asked Newfoundland Power for a TV interview about customer concerns, but the utility declined, citing recent interviews with CBC Radio. Now, Communications Director Glenda Power told On the Go that during the colder months, homes use more electricity to maintain a steady temperature, and that could contribute to higher bills.
You know, I just want to assure our customers that you'll never pay for any power that wasn't used, right? We're confident in the workings of our meters. We're audited and ruled by Measurement Canada on that. Now, that doesn't mean we don't hear you. We certainly understand the concerns and we're hearing them. But what we're seeing is a case of cold weather, high winds impacting usage. And I think that's probably the source of a lot of the complaints.
Now, still on this issue, the provincial NDP is calling on government to help residents with the rising cost of electricity by removing the provincial portion of the HST from home heating bills. But the finance minister says it's not that easy. Here Now's Mark Quinn has the details.
The high cost of home heating is forcing many residents to make difficult decisions.
People have seen their power bills increase significantly. One constituent of mine who heats her home and hot water with oil and only uses electricity for her fridge, stove and lights has seen her bill triple. Others are sitting in the dark, lighting candles, piling on blankets to keep warm and choosing between food, their mortgage or their electric bill.
Din says there is one way the province can help.
Removing the provincial portion of the HST from all forms of home heating, something that has been done before, would go a long way to help people struggling to heat their homes.
Outside the House of Assembly, the finance minister responded to that suggestion.
I will say that is the federal, it is a harmonized sales tax, so the province of Newfoundland and Labrador doesn't have much control, if any control, on what is included in HST. So that is the federal government responsibility.
But NDP leader Jim Din isn't satisfied with that answer.
Sad to hear that, because that indicates or says to me that not only is she not going to ask them, she's not interested in asking them. It can be done if there's a political will to do so. What the minister has indicated that they have no political will to do so.
The NDP is asking the provincial government to reconsider and reenact the residential energy rebate the provincial Progressive Conservative government put in place in 2012. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, there was a pretty big sign today that momentum is building toward a new Churchill River energy deal. The two leaders of the public utilities in this province and Quebec met in Churchill Falls, and both say it's full speed ahead. Here and Now's Terry Roberts reports.
If there was any worry that all the turbulence coming from the United States might send the Churchill Falls MOU off course, that has now been put to rest. The top executives from NL Hydro and Hydro-Quebec met in Churchill Falls today, and they say they're on target to sign a historic contract by next spring.
We're going to go full speed ahead, and we're going to get it done as quickly as we practically can.
Shoulder to shoulder at the Churchill Falls generating station. Jennifer Williams of NL Hydro, Michael Sabia of Hydro-Quebec, making his first ever visit to a power plant that supplies 15% of Quebec's electricity. Sabia's visit comes 3 months after a historic draft agreement was signed in St. John's. The MOU aims to rip up one of the most lopsided business deals in Canadian history, pump billions of new revenue into the provincial treasury, open the door to new developments, such as Gull Island, dramatically increase the quantity of power available for economic development in Labrador, and on the other side of the table, secure Quebec's energy future. After decades of animosity and mistrust, these utility executives repeatedly use the words balance and collaboration to describe the new relationship being forged between the two provinces.
Seeing us together is, I think, certainly for our province, one of the most important things for people to see.
This transaction is on track, full speed ahead, and it'll be delivered.
Sabia admitted the current Churchill Falls contract is unfair.
Those days are coming to an end, and they will be replaced by a deal that, in my opinion and our opinion, is a balanced deal.
Hydro-Quebec currently pays 0.2 cents per kilowatt hour for Churchill Falls energy, essentially free power. The price will rise to 1.63 cents in year one of the new agreement and increase steadily after that, with an average of $1 billion annually to the province over the next 16 years.
That allows us also to manage a transition in our own rates.
The whole package deal taken together meets a lot of both of our needs.
Negotiating teams on both sides are working hard to prepare formal contracts and dismissed suggestions today that the trade war initiated by Donald Trump might hurt the deal.
But there's a lot of electrification happening in the world, and that's not going to change with this president.
One of the key elements of this draft deal is construction of a new power station at Gull Island, nearly 3 times the size of Muskrat Falls, a $25 billion project. When asked today if Gull Island will get built, Michael Sabia said it's a certainty. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, to federal politics now. Mark Carney has been named the new leader of the National Liberal Party, which means he'll also be the next prime minister. That's after Justin Trudeau announced his resignation in early January. Carney won the leadership race in a landslide last night with almost 86% of the vote. And one political scientist at Memorial University says Carney's win might be good news for the Liberals.
Mark Carney is really well positioned as somebody who can potentially, convince people who are a little more centrist or even slightly right-leaning, but maybe not comfortable with the Conservatives, that maybe he's the right type of person. And certainly everything he's done to this point, I mean, I'll just say right now, I mean, he's going to disappoint people. The shine is going to come off. There's going to be a lot of things that he's going to learn and we're going to learn. But as of right now, he appears to have taken the leadership as decisively as he really possibly could have. And things look really good for the Liberals. And we wouldn't have been saying that probably even 6-8 weeks ago.
One former St. John's Catholic Church has changed hands after it was up for sale to help settle Mount Cashel abuse claims. But as the CBC's Abby Cole reports, it will remain a place of worship.
The Muslim Association of Newfoundland and Labrador has a new spiritual home in this building that used to be a Catholic church. Where once there was a cross, now there's a crescent moon, a sacred symbol in Islam. Over 10,000 Muslims live in this province. about 8,000 alone in the greater St. John's area, but only 500 fit into the old mosque on Logie Bay Road. They needed more space, even more so for special occasions like Eid.
They have a new place of worship where they can all get together under one roof. And that is a kind of very amazing and a major achievement. We don't have to go and look for rental spaces for our celebrations. The objective was that it should serve the need of all Muslims living in Greater St. John's area. So I think this is an ideal location for us in terms of capacity and in terms of location.
The church is one of several the St. John's Archdiocese had to sell to settle massive sexual abuse claims related to the Mount Cashel orphanage. After years of trying to find new owners, a former priest says he is grateful the space will continue to be used for worship.
And rather than turning it into an office building, or the other thing was talking about tearing down the building altogether and just selling the land, it's going to be used again as a house of worship for God. So I think the tradition of building community and having a place to come together to share our values and to do something about it is going to carry on with another wonderful sacred tradition, the Muslim Association here. And I'm just so happy to see that.
Volunteers have been helping to renovate the building, removing pews and the choir pit to create a level surface for prayer mats. Glass artwork will also be removed, but nothing will be thrown out, and some items will be displayed in an archival room in the back.
A place of worship is being used as a place of worship. We believe in same God, and we have more in common than in differences. So I think that it is a very good movement.
The mosque will open to the Muslim community on March 30th for Eid prayers, where 5,000 people are expected. And afterwards, renovations will continue. Abby Cole, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, some people can get fairly excited when it comes to getting a good bargain. And for them, there's a new store in Carbonear that's helping them find the best bang for their buck. The CBC's Jenna Head checked it out and has more.
It's a crazy concept, and it's just like a treasure hunt. Wooden boxes filled with stuff. The idea, dig through the bins, because what you might find is a wicked good deal.
I had a lady here yesterday, actually, she got a pair of shoes. She got them for $5. She couldn't believe it. She said, $5? I said, yes, my darling, $5. She was really happy about it.
Those shoes and most other items here come from Amazon. They are often returned items, sometimes opened, but always new.
Because what happens is people will buy something, they'll get it, and they don't like it. They'll send it back. Then we'll get it. I can't tell you how we get it. That's a secret, but we get it.
And like the name, people go crazy for crazy bins.
Do you ever get a lineup outside the door?
Lineups. But darling, we used to be lined it up. Saturdays we open at 9 o'clock. We used to be lined up from the dentist. The first morning we opened, actually, we're lined up from this door out to the road.
Phone cases, backpacks, clothing, coffee machines, vacuum cleaners, diaper genies, even stethoscopes. There's always something new, and everyday items are a different price. Beyond the bins, there's another side to the store. Instead of Amazon returns, it's furniture from online store Wayfair, which is stored in the shop's basement and sold on its Facebook page. And it works just like an auction.
You can go online and you can EMT for anything you see, and the first person to EMT is the one that gets it.
They've been so successful, Crazy Bins plans to expand.
We're talking about CBS, Clareville, Grand Falls, Cornerbrook, and we're not sure where else. That's just the ones that are in the works, but we do have people with us that want to open up in CBS, so there'll definitely be one going in CBS soon.
As for their Carbonear location, there has not been one dull moment for McCarthy.
We opened here on 28 September, and it's been crazy ever since.
Jenna Head, CBC News, Carbonear.
Well, we had a pretty decent weekend, especially Sunday here in the east. What a beautiful afternoon it was. Generally quiet weather. We're sitting under a ridge of high pressure just to our west. We do have some colder air, though, up across parts of Labrador. Now, as we head through tonight, it is a few flurries, quiet through most of tomorrow, except in the west, where you will see some snow. I'll get into the details coming up a little later.
Walker,
Hard, Jeff.
get it over.
Hard, Jeff.
Jeff Walker, get it over. Get it over, Jeff Walker, get it over and just touch it. No, he did not. He overthrew it.
Stunning finish.
Oh, heartbreaker, a rare miss from one of curling's biggest stars. Team Gouju in the hunt for their 4th straight Brier title came up a little short. The St. John's rink playing as Team Canada lost in yesterday's semifinals to Team Alberta, who ended up going on to win the whole thing. The heartbreaking loss for Team Gouju was felt all over the province and the curling world. Gouju and his teammates had high hopes for making history, but the loss means the team will have to wait until the Brier is in St. John's next year to try and win it all. Well, the Rooms, the iconic museum and art gallery in St. John's, is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. Now, a new exhibition focuses on the building itself and examines how Newfoundland and Labrador culture is incorporated into every brick and tile.
We are standing in the exhibition Grounding, which is in the art gallery at the Rooms. It is celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Rooms. It's looking at the ideas behind the architecture of this place, but it's also drawing upon those ideas. What we're looking at, in fact, are the drawings of and the planning ideas by lead architect Philip Pratt when he was designing the Rooms with PHB Group. And so what you see are 10 years really of thinking through how this place, this building, would represent the histories and the cultures of this province. And so it draws upon a very well-known architecture in this place, the fishing room, which was a place of gathering and making fish, it still is. But it also looks at, and I didn't know this until I spoke with Philip Pratt about it, the land, the water, the people. So the beige bricks representing the colors of the barrens. The reflectivity of the glass and the floors representing the sea and the water. And then the red roof being dogberries, autumn leaves, but also resilience, human effort. I hope that people, when they come into this space, see the diversity and the importance of the culture of this province, the artistic voices in this province. Again, speaking to the intention of this building to show that what we do, what we make, who we are matters.
Well, an old newspaper article recently posted online prompted a trip down memory lane for one well-known musician. That article had first appeared in Memorial University's student newspaper, The Muse, back in 1989. It was a glowing review of a Western Newfoundland group called Uncle Harry's Bar Band, and it was written by a young journalist by the name of Alan Doyle, who picked up tricks of the trade while listening to the band.
Go watch Rufus play guitar is like a lesson, you know. And of course, and then Charlie could play the accordion so well, and Wayne was the best front guy. Uncle Harry's Bar were always slick and sounded great and looked great, and it was very pro, and I always admired that. It was just a real sort of schooling in how to do that kind of entertainment professionally and well.
Grandpa was a sailor, sailed to the Labrador.
I had no idea at the time if I was ever going to be a professional musician or not. So I thought maybe I'll end up being one of those guys that writes reviews in the newspapers.
49, saw electric lights and telephones.
Wayne had this amazing little, I'd never seen one before. It's a skinny, like a Yamaha guitar. Yamaha put out these skinny, thin-line guitars, like halfway between an electric guitar and an acoustic guitar. And I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And then I remember we were at First City one time, and Wayne said, "I'm selling that." And I was like, "I'll buy that." And I bought it off Wayne. If you look at some of the early Great Big Sea videos, definitely the Merrimack video, there's a brown guitar, and I'm swinging it in, and that's Wayne's guitar. And I still have it. There was a lot of bands like that were playing country and some rock and roll and a little bit of traditional music, all designed to keep dance floors filled in clubs and places around Newfoundland. And Uncle Harry's Bar were just the best ones at it.
Ashley, we lost an hour of sleep on the weekend, but we are gaining a later sunset, so that's good.
It's very exciting because now I get to use my harbor cam.
Yes, it's not pitch black.
It's not. Look, it's nice and light out there right now. Yeah, let's take a look at the temperatures right now. A little cool on the cool side for sure. -2 is what it is right now. Feels more like -9 with that wind chill, but the winds are steady right now. Sustained at about 33 kilometers per hour out of the west-northwest. So if we take a look at what's going on, fairly quiet weather. We've got that ridge of high pressure to our west, some colder air up across Labrador, some of that sinking a little bit further south as well, and a few flurries happening certainly on the west and west coast and parts of the Avalon as well. Our daytime highs today weren't too bad. They're a little bit below seasonable, especially up across Labrador. Lab City sitting at -14 today. You should typically be sitting around -8 at this time of year. Right around there for central areas of Labrador and then towards the coast as well. And if we take a look at where we're sitting now, we've lost a degree or two here and there. Looking at temperature near -7 right now in Corner Brook, feels more like -12 with that wind chill. Makovic, you're feeling more like -22 at the moment. So if we take a look at what's going on weather-wise, we do have some onshore flurries happening for the west coast, leading to some slushy roads where you are seeing those flurries, but nothing too significant. And that's the case across the Avalon as well. Nothing really sticking, but there are some heavier flurries moving across the Avalon at the moment. And we'll generally see that continue as we head through the next couple of hours. And then we should actually see some clearing skies through the overnight tonight. Northern Peninsula, parts of the Long Range Mountains there will likely see some snow continue through tonight. And then by the time we get into tomorrow morning, most of that should end. Labrador fairly quiet as well, clear and cold. That will be the story for you as we head through the overnight. And then as we head into tomorrow, a few flurries still lingering, the possibility along the northeast coast there as we see some cloud cover hang on as well. Parts of the west coast may see a few flurries, but the day, the weather should actually improve. Periods of sunshine through the afternoon, which will be nice, but then we'll see some clouds on the increase and the potential for some snow to move in for those of you in Lab West. That will spread pretty much through to Happy Valley Goose Bay as we head through the evening and overnight. And then that's pretty much it as we head into Wednesday morning. So fairly quiet weather, but as this trough or front continues to move through, it will bring some flurry activity, some light snow for parts of the west coast as well by the time we get into early Wednesday morning. So as far as the snowfall totals go for now through to Wednesday morning, most of the snow will fall in Lab West. You're looking at potentially 5 to 10 centimeters of snow with that system. And then again, starting in the overnight, evening and overnight for around the Happy Valley Goose Bay area. So you're only looking at about 2 to 5 centimeters through Wednesday morning. And then we'll start to see that snow move towards the west coast. But for the time being, not a whole lot, just the trace to about 2 centimeters, maybe a little bit more than that with some pockets by the time we get into Wednesday morning. Temperatures tonight are going to be cold, especially in Lab West, where you will hover down around -28 tonight. Otherwise, -18 to -20 for the rest of the Big Land. Along the northeast coast, you're looking at northwesterly winds somewhere between 20 to 40 kilometers tonight, leading to a wind chill in the -teens. For areas that are seeing minus single digits, but -20s for those of you in the northern peninsula. Central areas, especially low-lying, will likely see those temperatures dip into the minus double digits as well. And then as we get into tomorrow, a pretty nice day. Again, temperatures a little bit below where we should be sitting this time of year. We're going to hang on to some gusty, barely gusty winds, but northwesterlies will be gusting upwards of about 40 kilometers per hour, leading to wind chills likely in the minus double digits through the day. But overall, most of us will be sitting just barely below zero. With the exception of the northern peninsula, you'll be hovering around -9, -10 through the day. That will be the story for Labrador as well, with some sunshine for the southeast, and again, minus double digits from Cartwright through to Nain. And your winds in the west, anyway, will be gusting upwards about 50 kilometers per hour. So that -8 will feel more like the minus teens for Lab West. And again, you'll see that snow move in. There is a warm up, though, quite a significant warm up coming over the next couple of days across the island. And then again, up across Labrador as well, where your temperatures will be well above zero. I'll get into that a little later.
Well, a salmon conservation group is bringing attention to aquaculture waste off the province's south coast. At the end of last year, the Atlantic Salmon Federation raised concerns about an area near Galtus called the Locker, saying it's littered with partially sunken sea cages, nets, and feed bags. Cook Aquaculture has fish farming sites in that area, and the province has told the company to clean up the mess. That was done in January, but more sites have been found. Joining me now in studio to talk about this is the broadcast Todd O'Brien. So, Todd, what more can you tell us about this?
Well, Carolyn, the ASF was able to find all these sites using Google Earth, and last month they rented a helicopter and flew to the south coast to confirm what they saw. I was able to get on board that chopper to see the situation for myself. This is what the Locker looked like before the cleanup in December. That area is where we started, and this is what we saw. It seemed to be all cleaned up. We then made our way to Northwest Cove, which is also in Hermitage Bay, and another Cook Aquaculture site, and it looked as if there was a cleanup underway there as well. Then we made more stops at two places at Harvey Hill in Northeast Arm, which are Maui sites, more open net pens, and finally Dog Cove in Great Bay de Low, which had lots more abandoned open net pens.
Okay, so what are the aquaculture companies saying about this?
Well, they don't consider it to be all debris. In the Locker area, for instance, Cook considered it more of a storage area rather than a dumping site, that they keep cages and other pieces of equipment in different locations until it can be dealt with.
Okay, so the Atlantic Salmon Federation is really taking the lead on all of this. Why is that group looking into this?
They say the debris was a long-standing issue in the Locker area going back as far as 2011. They say they complained about it last May to then Fisheries Minister Elvis Lovelace, but nothing happened. In August, the ASF filed official complaints with the province, Environment and Climate Change Canada, and DFO. Again, nothing. So they decided to make their complaints public with a news release in December.
Okay, and has anyone outside of the Federation complained about this?
Yes, we have heard complaints about pollution over the years, more recently from one Harbour Breton resident named Mel Jackman, who has a cabin way up on Hermitage Bay.
Hermitage Bay was always a very clean bay. You get wood driving in there and a certain plastic bottle or something every now and then. But a few years ago, aquaculture came in there and, almost immediately you start to see things like rope, buoys, styrofoam, that kind of stuff coming into the bay. And it wasn't so bad at first, but then seems like every year, I guess, as the equipment and stuff was getting older, there was more and more. And right now out there, as far as I'm concerned, I call Hermitage Bay a dump. It's about the dirtiest bay in Newfoundland.
Jackman went on to say there are piles of debris near his cabin in Hardy Cove, so much that it's like walking on a sponge, a couple of feet thick.
And what about the provincial government? What's it saying about this?
Well, it took a few weeks, but when I finally got a hold of Fisheries Minister Jerry Byrne, he told me he ordered aquaculture companies to clean up any sites with old gear. But there's no time frame for this. And meanwhile, the Salmon Federation can't understand why it was up to them to uncover it. Where is the province, who is the regulator? Where is the DFO or Environment and Climate Change Canada?
Mm-hmm. And what about the aquaculture industry? How is it responding to these concerns?
Well, I spoke with Keith Sullivan. He's executive director of the Provincial Aquaculture Industry Association. Sullivan told me that this latest campaign by the ASF is a clear attempt to manipulate people in the province. That's a thinly veiled attack on the aquaculture industry, the people who work in it, and the communities that depend on it.
That's equipment that's actual sitting on licensed sites. This is not off-licensed site or in an area that, equipment shouldn't be. But certainly, companies are very committed to making sure that there's no debris, and if it leaves their sites or anything, it will be certainly dealt with, and as quickly as possible. I know sometimes in Newfoundland and Labrador, we have storms, and if something kind of comes loose, I mean, they do everything to prevent that with good code of practice, but absolutely make sure that, that doesn't go into the marine environment unnecessarily.
And are there any solutions to deal with all of this aquaculture waste? Is there a way to recycle it, for example?
Well, there is recycling happening as we speak in Harbour Breton. EcoAxis is taking the old black piping from net pens and grinding it down to a granular level, and it's going to be exported to Quebec to be recycled into industrial pipe.
Okay, Todd O'Brien, thank you so much for breaking all of this down for us.
No, pleasure. Thank you.
Well, complaints from Newfoundland Power customers have been pouring in from right across the province, including right here in Harbour Grace. Customers who are upset about ballooning electricity bills, including Tricia Muldoon, who is a Newfoundland Power customer and joins me now. So, Tricia, can you tell us a bit about your situation and how long you've been in this home?
So we moved here end of September and took over the bills around the same time. And so we've been in the house since then, and we've just found that the power bills have just skyrocketed, just ridiculously so. Yeah.
Give us the details of that. What have you been seeing on your bills?
So I've noticed that our first bill was $345, and great, fine. I thought that's not a big deal. And then for the past, every month since then, it's gone up by $200 to $300 every single month. And the usage is saying that we're using, thousands of more watts every month. And the worst part of it was that a month ago when I got our bill, and it was almost $1,000, it was almost $900, about $900. I thought, oh my gosh, okay, this is crazy. I'm going to turn down the temperature. And so the house right now is 16 degrees. We keep it at 16 degrees. It is sweater weather in here all the time. And we have lights on timers. We use the dishwasher once. We do laundry in the weekends. I mean, it's very minimal usage.
You're very mindful of how much electricity.
Very mindful. And the next bill, it said I'd gone up just over 2,000 watts in usage, and I thought that's not possible. That is not possible. And so I went out and I actually checked the meter just to make sure it was accurate, and it was accurate exactly to the bill. I called the power company, and they said, and I said, is this on par with the previous couple of years? And they said, oh yes, absolutely. It's about the same. That $1,000 is about the same for the past couple of years. And I started seeing all the different complaints on the news, Facebook, social media. And so I contacted the previous owner, actually. And I said, I'm just curious, was your bill this high last year and the year before?
At that time?
At that time, exactly. That kind of like January to March time. And the first thing that struck, first of all, he said, no, it was not. And not only that, but this time last year, they weren't even living here. So they had the temperature on very, very low just to maintain it. But so there was no light usage. There was no, appliances being used. And so it was much lower.
So how could it be on par?
That's right. And that's when I went, okay, I've had enough. I'm getting a little frustrated. It's just too much.
What kind of the bill are you trying to pay off now?
Right now, with the previous balance, it's almost, I think it's $1,800. $1,800. And I just can't quite get over that is, I mean, that's more than any other bill. We have more than insurance, more than a mortgage would be, more than, it's almost our property taxes for the year. And it's just, it can't be right.
How are you going to pay that off?
Well, I mean, fortunately we are able to, we'll pay it in chunks and it'll be all right. But it's extra hours. My husband's working extra hours. It means my son who lives with us, and he's 20, and he works at a minimum wage job right now, and he'll help pay for some of that, right? Just because he lives here, he uses some. He's an adult. He wants to get used to paying the bill, but it also is kind of needed at this point, which is sad. And it also makes me think about anybody who's making minimum wage. There's no way that they could pay this kind of thing. And it's just, it feels like you're being taken advantage of, because it is just, as far as I know, one company who runs everything. We moved here largely because living in Ontario was, my husband's working 2 jobs, paying him more. It was just, the prices, everything was just, there was no work-life balance at all. I did my due diligence. I looked at what the power average would cost and what that's going to be like, and it was manageable, and we'd be up, right? We'd be comfortable. My husband was even considering possibly semi-retiring maybe, and then we got the power bills, and it was frustrating because I couldn't understand what else we could possibly do. There's nothing else we could do to reduce this cost. And we're already doing everything. I'm tired of stressing about something like that. You can do everything in your power to fix, do everything that you can, and it makes no difference at all. I think they need to be investigated by an outside source where there's no conflict of interest, who is actually looking out for everybody else and not the very rich company, right? It's just, no, enough is enough.
Well, Trisha Muldoon, thank you so much for inviting us into your very chilly home. And thanks for telling us about your experience and sharing your thoughts on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
While Mark Carney has been a public figure for decades, many Canadians are just getting to know him. Chief political correspondent Rosemary Barton looks at who he was before becoming Canada's next Prime Minister.
This is no time for politics as usual.
Mark Carney pitched himself as an outsider, not a politician, but someone who would have the skills needed to meet the moment.
No, it's not the time for lifelong politicians such as Pierre Poilievre.
He was born in Fort Smith, Northwest Territories, raised in Edmonton. His father, Bob, ran for the Liberals, coming in second to the Progressive Conservatives. Carney studied economics abroad. For 13 years, he worked for global investment banking firm Goldman Sachs, before holding several senior positions at the Bank of Canada and in the finance department in Ottawa. In 2008, then Prime Minister Stephen Harper appointed Carney to run the Bank of Canada, the second youngest bank governor ever.
Some of the world's largest financial institutions have recorded substantial losses.
Amid the global financial crisis, Carney called for widespread reforms to the world's financial system.
Double hats now as the head of the International Financial Stability Board.
Working alongside Harper Conservatives, Carney was credited for how well Canada weathered the financial storm compared to other nations. Even named as one of Time magazine's 100 most influential people in 2010.
Canada has shone, relatively speaking, in the world during the period of time in which Governor Carney has served as the governor of the Bank of Canada.
In 2013, Carney became the governor of the Bank of England, becoming the first ever foreigner to be named to that role. He later agreed to stay on at the helm for 2 extra years to help ease the Brexit transition. More recently, Carney worked for investment firm Brookfield Asset Management, served as the United Nations Special Envoy on Climate Action.
2/3 of carbon being priced by the end of the decade.
For years, he supported a carbon tax, only to walk away from the policy at the start of the leadership race.
Why don't I become a circus clown? I mean, it's like...
For more than a decade, Carney toyed with the idea of running for the top job of the Liberal Party.
I have gainful employment, and I intend to continue it.
In 2020, Prime Minister Trudeau tapped Carney to serve as an informal advisor on the government's pandemic recovery plan.
Mark Carney!
He immediately became a front-runner in the leadership race when Trudeau resigned earlier this year. He has never held public office, but Liberals bought his pitch. Now he will have to convince Canadians.
Moving to a new country can be a daunting experience. Ada Usman was born in Nigeria and lived all over the world. She now calls St. John's home. And as she tells the CBC's Julia Israel, she started an organization to share what she's learned about settling in a new place.
What defines me, what made me be on the journey that I am right now, is all of the travels, all of the places that I have lived in. I believe like everyone has something to learn from everyone, wherever we are, and that's why I'm here, and that's how global citizenship came about. We're all global citizens. We all have a duty. We all owe our new homes a responsibility, and we also have the right to thrive wherever you find yourself, wherever you are. Just living in all of these places, being a newcomer so many times, it's a struggle to find belonging, to find my little community, to find food even. And I feel a lot of people go through that. But now I'm seeing that as an opportunity, because every time I start over, there's something new, there's a new possibility, right? But having that little community, having someone to say, okay, I got your back. I know you're going through all of this. I know you're missing home. I know all of the things that you have to leave behind. But we are here. Now we're family. Now we're your little community, and we're going to help you thrive. And that's why community is at the heart of everything I do. I want a map of the world, a huge map of the world on your wall. And I want pictures from different cultures. And then we're going to paint on all of those, like on all locations. This culture comes from this location. The people, you see them, visualize them, see where they come from. I have seen kids like struggle because of racism. And I have seen those kind of scenarios so many times over and over again, and it pains my heart. So life doesn't start and end here. There is so much alive outside of Newfoundland or outside of your little environment or your little neighborhood that one feels that, okay, we all have to look a certain way. We all have to behave a certain way. There is so much life out there. Just look at the world map. From one place to another, it's so different, and that's what makes life interesting. So by bringing all of these things to them, exposing them to culture earlier on, I want kids to incorporate that into their daily lives and say, yes, this is who I am. I am beautiful and I am good enough.
On this International Women's Day, what should people be thinking about or celebrating?
I don't think we should be thinking about one thing, because we are all very different. A woman is who she wants to be. If I want to be a stay-at-home mom, let me be. This is what makes me happy. This is my own definition of who a strong woman is. If I want to go out and work, I should be able to do that without anybody defining what it should be like. So I don't think there should be one straight path to being what a woman or how we should think.
Have a look at the long-range forecast now. And Ashley, we've been in this kind of pattern of the roller coaster from week to week with warm-ups and cool-downs and whatnot. How are things looking as this week progresses?
A whole lot of the same.
All right.
Welcome to spring. Yeah, we'll see a little bit of a warm-up by the time we head towards midweek. Let's take a look at that because we've got some snow that will affect parts of the western portion of the island, or of Labrador rather. And then some of that snow will likely reach the west coast as we head towards the first part of Wednesday. Now, right along the coast, at least in the south, I do think that this may fall as rain. But we will see that work its way across the island as we head into the evening hours and then eventually reaching the Avalon through the overnight. This is where we will see the warm-up. Temperatures will sit somewhere between 3 to as much as 6 degrees across a good chunk of the island, northern peninsula. You'll hover right around the 0 degree marker, maybe a little bit above. That will be the story for southeastern Labrador as well, but going to hang on to that cold air in Lab West. Minus 18 will be your daytime high in Lab City. And then as we head into Thursday, like I said, that snow will work its way across. It may even fall apart by the time it gets to the Avalon by Thursday morning. And then pretty much just hangs out. We're looking at temperatures dropping back down to the minus single digits. And again, going to keep an eye on that. It doesn't look like it'll amount to much, if anything, but something worth looking at. West Coast, your temperatures will really drop down well below where you should be sitting this time of year, around -9, -10 for the Northern Peninsula. Same thing through most of Labrador, but Nain, you'll hover around -15 through the day. So we've got that cool down, then another warm up by the time we get into Saturday. Like I said, the weather doesn't look all that bad. We'll see some sunshine Friday, potentially even into Saturday. There are some models that have temperatures warmer than that, but we'll keep an eye on it. Central and western Newfoundland between 7 to 9 degrees by the time we get to Saturday. Feeling very spring-like temperature with some sunshine in the mix there. And then for Labrador, essentially we are looking at temperatures dipping into the minus double digits for your Thursday with some sunshine. For Friday and Saturday, looking at the potential for a few flurries, but look at that temperature for eastern Labrador on Saturday, 8 degrees. And it'll likely stay above zero through the overnight too, so leading to certainly some melting. This will either be rain or snow in western Labrador. Like I said, going to keep an eye on this forecast with temperatures around 7 degrees. And again, your overnight lows. Look at that swing in temperatures from Wednesday through to Saturday. Just incredible. But again, welcome to spring. Our weather photo of the day taken in St. John's. I had to share this photo with you. It's the sun rising over the Narrows. Beautiful shot there, Len. Thank you so much for that photo. And if you have any that you would like to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Well, that is a gorgeous shot. Len, thank you so much. St. John's Harbor can be so beautiful. I don't often see it that early in the morning.
No.
But yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And yes, what a dramatic change in temperatures in western Labrador. My goodness, -18, +7. Wow.
Soon we'll be talking about 30 degrees.
Oh, wow. You have a while to go yet. All right, well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for watching.
Good night.